بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد سيد المرسلين وخاتم النبيين وعلى آله وأصحابه الطيبين الطاهرين ومن اتبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت يا حي يا قيوم تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا اللهم ذكرنا ما نسينا وعلمنا ما جهلنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من حال أهل النار لله تعالى. I praise Allah, I glorify Him and I thank Him for all the blessings that He gives without being obligated, and I ask Allah to raise the rank of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and protect his Muslim nation. I testify no one deserves to be worshipped except Allah, the one without a partner, the one without an equal, the one without a similar, the one who is unlike anything in the universe, and nothing in the universe is like Him. He has no father, no mother, no sister, no brother, no son, and no daughter. He exists without time and place because He is the creator of time and place. He does not reside above the throne, and He is not attributed with fatigue, like the Jews say. Our Lord is glorified beyond any imperfection that the non-Muslims attribute to Him. Whatever you imagine in your mind, Allah Ta'ala does not resemble that, and whoever attributes an attribute of the creations to Allah is outside of Islam. And I testify that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the son of Abdullah, the son of Abdul Muttalib, the son of Hashim, the son of Abdul Manaf, from the tribe of Quraysh, is the best creation of Allah, and His final prophet and messenger sent to all humans and jinn, and He is truthful about everything He conveyed in the revelation. Thereafter, remind ourselves to have the sincere intention for the sake of Allah in attending this session of Islamic knowledge, because having the sincere intention is a requirement to get the reward. So the Muslim, whenever he does a good deed, he has to have the sincere intention for the sake of Allah to get reward for that good deed. The reward is defined as the compensation that the Muslim receives in the hereafter for the good deeds that he did in this life among what makes him happy. The sincere intention means for the Muslim to do the good deed seeking the acceptance of Allah only and not the praise of the people. So alhamdulillah, we are grateful to Allah that we have been guided to Islam, because Islam is the greatest endowment. So we are grateful and thankful to Allah that we have been guided to the only true religion. And we are grateful and thankful to Allah that we have access to the knowledge of Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah, which is the key to paradise, which is the life of Al-Islam. Continuing on with our important topic, which is defending the chosen, that is, defending the prophets, alayhimus salatu wassalam, defending them against slander and things that have been said about them that are not true, fabricated stories, and clarifying and explaining their importance and how they are essential for the human beings to know the law that God revealed, for the human beings to have guidance, for the human beings to receive the message conveyed or transmitted by the Creator of the universe. So we got to talking about the category of the miracle. The miracle itself, we said, is the verifier that the prophet in question is telling the truth. So a prophet, he comes to the people, he lets them know that he receives revelation, that he is sent by Allah, and so the people, they sometimes ask for a sign or a proof, and the prophet then performs a miracle. And so the miracle, it proves that that prophet is telling the truth, because the miracle is an extraordinary matter that corroborates the claim of prophethood that cannot be imitated or defeated. So when the people, they see this extraordinary matter, and they see it because that person is claiming that he's a prophet, and this event is occurring to prove that that person is telling the truth. So then after the people, they witness that miracle, they have to believe in that prophet because this is a rational evidence. And because they witnessed it, so they cannot logically deny it. So we said that the miracle is of two types. One category that occurs after a suggestion from the people upon the one who has claimed prophethood, and another type of miracle that occurs without any suggestion. The first, an example of the first kind is like the she-camel of Prophet Salih alayhi salam, which exited from a dense boulder because the people that he was sent to call them to Islam, they suggested to him, they said to him, if you are a prophet, if you are telling the truth about being a prophet, sent to us so that we may follow you, so that we follow you, then make a she-camel come out of this boulder along with its child to give birth in front of them. And so Prophet Salih made dua to Allah, and a she-camel came out from the boulder as they described, and with even better attributes, because they had described for the she-camel to be with certain attributes, and it came out better than what they asked for. So they became astonished and surprised and amazed, and they believed in him. A number of them believed in him, but there were still some people who they insisted on denying, even after they saw that miracle. The second kind, or an example of the second type of miracle, which is one that occurs without any suggestion from the people, is like the weeping of the date palm tree that occurred for the Prophet ﷺ. And that event is that the Prophet ﷺ, he was leaning up against a date palm tree trunk that was it was a dry stump that the Prophet ﷺ used to lean on when he used to give his speeches in his mosque. So this was before the minbar was built for him. So then when the minbar was built for him, the Prophet ﷺ, he climbed on the minbar and he began his speech. While he was standing on the minbar, the date palm tree trunk began to weep, began to cry, just as an infant cries, like a newborn baby cries. And everyone that was inside of the mosque heard the crying of the tree trunk. So the Prophet ﷺ descended from the minbar and hugged the tree stump and soothed it until it calmed down. As for the extraordinary events that happened to a prophet before they received the revelation, this is called irhaus. Irhaus, it means like a precursor to prophethood. Any introductory matters that show that this person, this is the precursor to him becoming a prophet. Basically like an introduction to prophethood. So an example of this irhaus, these extraordinary matters that occurred before receiving the revelation, is like the shading of the clouds. They used to shade the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the stones, they used to say Assalamu alayka to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and before he received the revelation. Next, we're gonna mention the difference between a miracle and a karama. What is the difference between a miracle and a karama? Al-Hafiz in the Fatah, he said, when Al-Bukhari mentioned chapter about the signs of the prophethood in Islam, he wrote, the difference between the miracle and the karama is that the miracle is more specific because it is conditional in it that it would be something that is suitable to step up to a challenge and step up for the prophet to use it. It's suitable for a prophet to use it if he were challenged by someone who belies him. Like for a prophet to say, if I do such and such, would you believe that I'm telling the truth? Or for a prophet to say to the one who's challenging him, or the one who's challenging a prophet would say to him, I won't believe you until you do such and such. So it is a condition for the thing that is challenged, and the thing that they're saying to do, for it to be something that the human beings are incapable of doing normally. And both of these types of matters have occurred to the Prophet ﷺ in many situations. And the miracle is called mu'jiza because the people are incapable of imitating it or defeating it. Then he said the most famous miracles of the Prophet ﷺ is the Qur'an, because the Prophet ﷺ challenged the Arabs of his time while they are the most eloquent of their time and the ones that give the most esteem to words. The Prophet ﷺ challenged them in the Qur'an to bring something similar. And they were incapable of doing it, although they had severe enmity towards the Prophet ﷺ, and they wanted to do anything to stop him. To the extent that some scholars, they said, the shortest surah in the Qur'an is Surah Al-Kawthar. The Prophet ﷺ challenged them to produce something similar to it. And Surah Al-Kawthar is only 3 ayat long. Then he said, the aspects of miraculousness of the Qur'an, from the aspect of its beautiful arrangement and the harmony of its words and the eloquence of its words and its brevity, where any brevity is suitable, anywhere it's the place of brevity in the place of brevity, and a very obvious eloquence, a supreme eloquence, along with the arrangement, the perfect arrangement, and its unique style. And this is also along with what it contains of news of the unforeseen, or the things that are the unseen among what happened in the past, the things that only a few individuals amongst the people of the book knew. and it was not known about the Prophet ﷺ that he got together with any of them, nor that he took anything from them. And also, what it contains among the matters that they had not occurred during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, or they had not occurred when those verses were revealed, but that those verses, they predicted exactly what was going to happen during the lifetime of the Prophet ﷺ and after his lifetime. And this is along with the awe-inspiring aura that is felt when the Qur'an is being recited, and the fear of Allah, or the remembrance that Allah Ta'ala knows one and sees one and hears one, and nothing is hidden from him when listening to the Qur'an. And the person, when they hear the Qur'an, they get that feeling of khashya, and where they fear Allah. Along with the person never feeling boredom when reciting it or hearing it, along with the ease of memorizing it for those that are learning it, and the ease of reciting it for the one who is going through the recitation. And no one denies any of that except an ignoramus or a stubborn person. And this is why the scholars of Islam, they labeled the Qur'an as the greatest of the miracles of the Prophet ﷺ. And another thing is that it has remained intact. So it is a remaining miracle. So if the denier, the opposer, if they say, yeah, those miracles that were witnessed by a large amount of people, yeah, they happened, but they happened long ago and we can't see it. Still, there is a miracle that we can see, which is the Qur'an. And so, and among the most obvious aspects of miraculousness of the Qur'an is that it continues to render its opponents incapable. And among the most famous of that is that the Qur'an challenges the Jews to wish for death. Like in the ayah 7 of Surah Al-Jumu'ah, قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ هَادُوا إِن زَعَمْتُمْ أَنَّكُمْ أَوْلِيَاءُ لِلَّهِ مِن دُونِ النَّاسِ وَتَمَنَّوُا الْمَوْتَ إِن كُنتُمْ صَادِقِينَ وَلَا يَتَمَنَّوْنَهُ أَبَدًا بِمَا قَدَّمَتْ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَاللَّهُ عَلِيمٌ بِالظَّالِمِينَ. So this ayah, number 7 of Surah Al-Jumu'ah, it means, say, O Muhammad, O you Jews, if you claim that you are accepted by God and nobody else among the people is accepted by God, then wish for death if you are truthful, and they will never wish for death due to what they have done with their hands, and Allah is all-knowing about the non-Muslims, and Allah is all-knowing about the unjust.
So it's because they fear, because they know their sins, or because of their attachment to the dunya?
So they hate death a lot, and they hate the angel of death, and they take the angel of death as an enemy, and they take Angel Jibreel as an enemy as well. And if you mention death around them, they get offended. Yeah, they get offended. So they have this sensitivity about death. It's like a real big issue to them. It's only speculation, but I feel like they really believe that if they were to wish for it, they would drop dead right away. And so the proof here is that since they claim that they are the chosen people, then they would wish for death, not meaning that they would commit suicide or try to harm themselves, rather meaning for them to have what Allah gives to those who are chosen or have an elevated status. And that's way better than anything you can get in this world. But they're so attached to this world that they don't want to leave this world. So that's why it's a proof against them. So when these verses were recited by the Prophet ﷺ, none of them did it. And also none of them after them did it. And even though they have a severe enmity for Islam, and they are very keen to try and corrupt the Muslims and to prevent others from embracing Islam. And so this is a very clear miracle. As for what is other than the Qur'an, like any other miracles other than the Qur'an, like the springing of the water from between the fingers of the Prophet ﷺ, and the abundance of food, and the food not decreasing, and the moon splitting, and the inanimate objects speaking, like the wolf, like the tree, like the lizard. And among that, some of those miracles, they occurred after a challenge from the people. And among those miracles is what occurred without any challenge. And all those things put together, they result in definitely confirming that these extraordinary, inimitable, undefeatable matters occurred with the Prophet ﷺ while he's claiming prophethood, and it supports his claim. So yeah, it's very important to know that about the miracle, how it is a proof. And it's a proof why? Because it's an extraordinary matter done by someone claiming to be a prophet to show that they're telling the truth. Now some people, they might say, trying to make an invalid argument to try and make the person doubt about the truthfulness of the Prophet ﷺ. So they might approach a Muslim and they try to get him to second guess himself. So what do they say? And what I'm about to mention is what the non-Muslim tries to say so that he can try and catch the Muslim off guard so that the Muslim would not know how to answer. So the atheist, he might say that the extraordinary matters that occur to the one who claims prophethood is not enough of an evidence to prove that he's telling the truth, because the atheist claims we witness many extraordinary matters according to him that certain people they can reach, and they're referring to things like sorcery, soothsaying, conjuring, demons, and things like that. The response to them is to say, these things, they are not miracles. These things can be imitated, these things can be defeated with something similar, in contrast to the miracle. None of the people who belied the prophets and who went against them during their times or after their times up until today is able to produce something similar to a miracle that a prophet has done. For example, Prophet Salih alayhi salam, he made the she-camel come out of the dense boulder. Nobody since then, and nobody at that time did something similar, and nobody since then has done something similar. Has anyone been able to enter a huge giant fire like the fire that our Master Ibrahim alayhi salam was thrown into and not be burned at all and not have their clothes be burned or their skin? Did anyone do something like that during the time of Prophet Ibrahim, like him, or after his time up until today? Has anybody done it? Nobody's done it. Is anyone able to do something like our Master Musa alayhi salam when he hit the sea with his staff and it split into 12 channels, and each channel was like a huge mountain, to the extent that hundreds of thousands of Muslims, they walked on those channels or through those channels without the water coming crashing down on them, until they crossed the distance which our Master Moses alayhi salam wanted. And then the sea returned to how it was. Nobody's been able to do something like that during his time or after his time. Were the sorcerers of the Pharaoh, were they able to do what Prophet Musa alayhi salam, when they were gathered to challenge Prophet Musa alayhi salam, were any of them able to change their robes or whatever they had into a real snake? They were unable, and that's why when they saw the miracle of Prophet Musa, they knew that this is not sorcery, that this was real, and so they knew that he was truthful, and they were incapable of doing what he did. So from then, nobody's been able to do something similar to our Master Musa alayhi salam from that time up until now. And has any one of the Jews been able to challenge or come up with something similar to Prophet Jesus alayhi salam? Were they able to imitate or defeat anything that Prophet Jesus alayhi salam did among his miracles? Did they accept when they saw these miracles, or did they belie him? They belied him. And they told him, indeed you are a sorcerer.
No, yes, sir.
And that's because Prophet Jesus alayhi salam, among his miracles is that he cured the one who was born blind. And he cured the one who was deaf. And also, has anybody been able to resurrect someone that has died? Rather, they were incapable of doing that, and they were not able to produce something similar to his miracles. And without a process, and were they able? And they're not even able to cure somebody's blindness using like medicine or surgery or anything like that. Are any of the leaders of atheism able to make a dry palm tree stump cry an audible voice that everyone could hear. No. Yet these are all miracles of different prophets that have occurred in front of large numbers of people. So if the atheist insists on his deviation and his misguidance, then say, so if the deviant atheist, if he insists on his invalid stance and he says all the things that you just mentioned, the staff turning into a snake and hitting the sea and splitting into 12 channels and bringing someone back from the dead and Prophet Ibrahim not getting burned in the giant fire, if the atheist says, all those things are fables that people narrate without any foundation, we respond by saying, these matters that we mentioned, they are among the mass witness transmission matters, and they result in definite knowledge. And it is not like the type of information that we say it's possible it could be true and it's possible that it could be a lie. Because it occurred through mass witness transmission, that means it is definite. Instead, that information is like knowing about the faraway lands and about the kingdoms of the past that were witnessed by mass witness transmission. So just as those atheists, just as they are definitely certain that of the news of some of their leaders like Lenin and Marx, and some of the incidents that happened before them, like Napoleon, and some of the people that came before them like Napoleon, although they did not see them and they did not witness those events, then likewise we confirm with certainty that the situations and incidents, or the situations, the events that occurred with the Prophet ﷺ that are witnessed by mass witness transmission are definitely confirmed. Now if the atheist tries to say the news of Napoleon, the news of Lenin and Marx is not that far in the past, it's more recent than the news of the prophets, saying about the news of the prophets that it's a long time ago. So the atheists would try to say, okay, yeah, we confirm about Napoleon and Lenin and Marx, but because they are closer in time, the response to that would be, the information that is related to the occurrence of something amazing that draws the attention and the intellect, like making a she-camel exit from a boulder. Among the things that are the norm of that type of information is that as time goes on, the amount of people that pass it on grow. Because the human being is naturally inclined to love to talk about the amazing matter and the amazing thing. So for example, when the army that was with the Prophet ﷺ during the Battle of Al-Hudaybiyah while they are 1,500, when they saw the springing of the water from between the fingers of the Prophet ﷺ, they had been without water, anything. They didn't have any water. So no doubt that every one of them, of the soldiers, was keen to tell about what he saw. Hence, there is no hence it is pointless to reject these miracles. The only ones who reject these miracles are the ignoramus and the one who is too arrogant to admit that they were mistaken. The reason we say that is because those rejectors and deniers, when it comes to other information that has been transmitted through mass witness transmission by a generation of people, generation after generation, whether they were close to them in time or not, the case is that they judge those as definite information. Like that there was a tyrant ruler named Pharaoh, or that the ship of Noah, our master Noah alayhi salam, survived the flood. So since they do confirm definitely certain mass witness transmission events and they deny others, this shows that they're being whimsical. And we seek refuge with Allah from letting our preferences and biases blind us or make us choose something that's not true. Moving on to a new section now. And after mentioning the importance about the miracle and how it is a proof and nobody can deny it, nobody can challenge it, and we respond to the fallacies of the atheists if they try to say that all those things were a long time ago. How do you know? We tell them through the mass witness transmission. So now the section that we're moving on to is again touching on impeccability. So among the virtues that the prophets they have over the rest of humanity is that they are protected from blasphemy, idol worship, and committing enormous sins and small sins that show a low character. And they're turning away from the forbidden desires, and they don't have any inclination towards the forbidden things, and they avoid everything that breaches the etiquettes of the pious peers, or anything that taints or tarnishes honor, or something that lowers the status of the human being. Because the Prophets ﷺ are the most perfect creations, and the creations that do the best deeds, and the creations that have the purest selves, and the creations that have the most honorable life stories, because they are a role model for the people and they are good role models. This is why Allah Ta'ala ordered us to follow them and to implement their manners and to walk on their path in all the matters of life. Allah Ta'ala revealed, أولئك الذين هدى الله فبهداه مقتدي. And Allah Ta'ala revealed, لقد كان لكم في رسول الله أسوة حسنة. So the first one, it means those are the ones whom Allah has guided, so by their guidance follow, or so follow their guidance. And the second one means, for sure, the Messenger of Allah was sent as a good role model. So what is the impeccability, isma? Linguistically, it means prevention. And so it means that the prophets, they were prevented from doing sins, yani blasphemy, enormous sins, and small abject sins. So for the prophets, the impeccability, it means the protection from Allah. Allah protects them from falling into blasphemy, enormous sins, and small abject sins, before prophethood and after prophethood. And the wisdom behind that is that Allah Ta'ala ordered His followers to follow Him. The wisdom behind the prophets being sent is, and so Allah Ta'ala orders the people to follow them and take them as leaders, because they are the good role model, and they are the righteous example for the creations. This is why Allah Ta'ala protected them from blasphemy and enormous sins and small abject sins. Hence, they are trustworthy in all of that. Now, what is possible to occur to a prophet is what is other than that, and other than what we mentioned, other than blasphemy, enormous sins, and small abject sins. So among what is possible that a prophet might do is a small sin that does not show low character. And the reason for this, that we say this, is to confirm and be in compliance with the verses of the Qur'an and the Hadith. And that is the position of the majority of the scholars, just as it has been narrated by more than one. And this is what Imam al-Ash'ari was on. And some Ash'aris, they didn't follow him in that. And what they said about that is deemed incorrect. And the stronger saying, or the correct saying, is that the prophets, they might commit a small sin that does not show no character. And among those Ash'aris that they went against is Tajuddin as-Subki. He said in some poetry, the meaning of which is, Al-Ash'ari is our Imam, however, in that case we don't agree with him. So that's one example of Al-Ash'ari that did not have the same stance as Al-Ash'ari. Our Shaykh Al-Imam Abdullah Al-Harari rahimahullah he said, we wish that, we wish for that as-Subki had agreed with what Al-Ash'ari said, because it is the thing that is most in compliance with the religious text. And the position of Al-Ash'ari is the most in compliance with the religious text. So Imam Abdullah son of Muhammad Al-Harari is saying he wishes that as-Subki had agreed with Al-Ash'ari, because Al-Ash'ari's stance is in line with the text and with the religious text. And so prophets, they are impeccable, protected from blasphemy before prophethood and after. So the prophets, they were preserved and they were protected from blasphemy before they received the revelation and after they received the revelation. So before they received the revelation, they're protected, and after they receive the revelation also. So why is this important to understand? Because some people, they misunderstand some things when they read the Qur'an because they did not take the time to read. Because they did not take the time to learn the obligatory knowledge. And some people, instead of learning the obligatory knowledge, they read on their own. So some people, they attribute certain things to the prophets that are blasphemy. Like for example, they attribute to Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam that he worshipped the star and then the sun, and that he worshipped the star and then the moon and then the sun. Some people, they believe that about Prophet Ibrahim, that he went like through stages of, and he jumping from one belief to another, wal'iyadhu billah. So as for the saying of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, and it's blasphemy to claim that it would be blasphemy to claim that say a church has the same status as a mosque, because a church was built for blasphemy and a mosque was built to worship the Creator only. So as for the saying of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam about the star, when he saw the star, هَذَا رَبِّي, some people, they think that Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam is making a statement and that he's informing of something. But instead, this combination of words, هَذَا رَبِّي, it is used and meant with the meaning of negative interrogative. It's a way of rhetoric that is used to reject that thing that is being said. So for example, here, what was said is, هَذَا رَبِّي, so basically it means, this is not my Lord. Have you ever, for example, had like an acquaintance or someone you know, and they tell you hey, this new restaurant just opened, the food is so great, and the place is so nice, and the service is so, is quality. So then the person, let's say he's convinced and he goes with him for the first time and he sees that it's the opposite as he described. So he might say something like, this is a good restaurant, this is good service. So he's not saying, like, asking it, like, trying to find out if that's the case, and he's not sure if it is, and he's asking for confirmation. No. He's saying, this restaurant is under par. This restaurant is subpar. So this would be, this is a very strong way to refute someone. So basically, Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he saw that the people he was sent to were worshipping the idols and worshipping the sun and the moon and the stars, Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, he approached them with the rational evidence, with the mental proof, and he said, "Hada Rabbi," meaning, this is my Lord as you claim. And then when that, let's say, star faded away, then Prophet Ibrahim, he said, "La uhibbul afilin," which means the thing that changes and goes away, it doesn't deserve to be worshipped. And so when they did not understand what he was trying to get at, and they insisted on the beliefs that they had, he said when he saw the moon, "Hada Rabbi, Hada Akbar." He wasn't saying, "This is my Lord that is bigger." No. He was saying, this thing that changes as well and goes away as well, that's what you're claiming is my Lord? And so on and so forth. He kept doing that. He did that for the stars, the sun, and the moon. So that was not Prophet Ibrahim doubting about, is the sun God, or is the moon God, or the stars God? No. That was Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam trying to prove to one of the biggest tyrants that ever existed, Pharaoh, trying to prove, or one of the pharaohs named Nimrod, trying to prove to him that he's not God, and that what they worship is not valid, and that they should leave out worshiping those idols. And so they did not listen when he said that about the moon. They did not listen when he said that about the stars or the sun. That these three things, they're not deserving of Godhood. And so once he saw that they're not listening, he disassociated himself from them. He abandoned them. He cut them off. He did not stay among them. Rather, he went to Palestine. حررها Allah. May Allah have mercy on the Muslims in Palestine and all over the world. And so he became a resident there, and he died there. And during that time, he also went to Mecca with his slave woman Hajar and his son Ismail alayhi salam, and he left them there by the order of Allah. As for before that, and as for Ibrahim before that, he used to know that the only creator is Allah, and this is proven by the ayah, وَلَقَدْ آتَيْنَا إِبْرَاهِيمَ رُشْدَهُ مِنْ قَبْلِ. So the scholars of Tafsir, they said, this means that he was given the guidance مِنْ قَبْلِ, and before prophethood. Meaning that Allah Ta'ala inspired what is correct and the wisdom and the correct belief to Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam before this debate that happened between him and his people. And Allah Ta'ala knows best. We still have a little bit more to cover about the impeccability. There's a rule and another dialogue, hypothetical dialogue between body worshipper, Wahhabi, and a Sunni Muslim. That's to come in the next classes. And Allah Ta'ala knows best. Are there any questions? طيب نهلل لا إله إلا الله اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم رب اغفر لي وللمؤمنين والمؤمنات وبارك الله فيكم والسلام عليكم.